My mother is English and she's a Catholic, and my father is Muslim and he is Iranian. Being raised in an Islamic country, I never, ever, ever was told, or nobody ever made me feel that as a girl, anything was off limits to me. And then when I was about 20, there was a revolution in my country. The Ayatollahs came in and I left. And I went to the United States and I studied and I became a journalist. And I wanted to tell those kinds of stories to the world. And then I felt that it was very important also to be a female journalist telling these stories. I came from Iran, which had just undergone a revolution, very dramatic, an Islamic revolution. So really it was like, put the women back behind closed doors, put the women in chadors and hijabs, cover them up. And here was I trying to come out and do exactly the opposite. I'd been to the United States for university, but I couldn't get a job as an anchor or reporter in the US because I just didn't fit the part. And in 1983, you had to fit the part. You had to be blonde, you had to be blue-eyed, you had to, have perfect teeth, I don't know. And I didn't fit the part. But very, very fortunately, Ted Turner had just launched CNN. And people said to me, there's this channel in Atlanta, and we've heard English accents on that channel. Everybody thinks that journalism is an easier job for men. I guess because men were always in the vanguard of every profession, that it became considered a man's job, particularly when I became a war correspondent, and whether I was in Saudi Arabia during the first Gulf War, or then Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, all these male-dominated patriarchal societies in a male-dominated job. Everybody was like stunned, and I would get all these questions about, well, what's it like being a woman journalist and on the front lines? And I'd never even thought about it. It just didn't occur to me that it was any different being a woman than a man. So I used to say, well, it's just like being a man, only better. And I still believe that. And yeah, sure, I was in competition with men, but again, I never thought of it that way. I was just in competition. So I think it's time for women to leverage all their power, not just their professional expertise, but their economic power too, because we live in a world where, money talks and money talks and money talks. So let's use our economic leverage to demand equal pay for equal play. No more should women ever accept to be paid less for the same job as men. And I think all salaries should be public, male, female, just so that you name and shame and you level the playing field. I believe also now something quite controversial called quotas. Most people don't like the idea of quotas. People believe that we in the developed world have gone beyond quotas. But actually more and more professional women are realizing that you do have to have a system for maybe a finite time of quotas in just about every profession. Politics, boards, as I say, in every profession, to level the playing field. And then when the playing field's leveled, well, carry on. But it's a really important time right now for women. I feel the dynamic changing. I feel this sort of momentum, this kind of tipping point, tidal wave growing. And I'm proud to be part of it. And I hope that young girls going to university, in high school, wherever they may be right now, in the job market, will realize that there's nothing off limits to them at all. And that casual, everyday sexism hopefully will, end up being a thing of the past, and that overt, patriarchal, religious inspired sexism, which includes violence and the most heinous crimes against women, will be held accountable, and that societies will realize that they just cannot do well. They cannot do as well and be as healthy if their women aren't fully engaged. Knowing how I work and how I give everything to my work, I probably would not have achieved as much success and impact in my work had I had a family and a child earlier. And I did delay it because I didn't think I was ready. And again, my generation made some of those choices. But it works. It works. I have a beautiful 15-and-a-half-year-old kid. He's great. I hope looking at me, he will know that being a professional woman and a mother and a wife is important. And I believe that, whatever we say to girls, I equally say to boys, because without boys and without men joining this fight for feminism, and what is feminism? It just means equality for men and women. then it won't be won. Our sons, our husbands, our brothers, our male relatives have to be involved so that all of our daughters, our mothers, our sisters can also be empowered and make the world better for all of us.